Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast. I'm Reverend Theresa and I am just so happy that you're here with me. Here in my living room and me in your house. It's cozy, isn't it? One of these days we won't need to be separated in form as such. But for the time being, I am really grateful to the technology that continues to bring us together each and every Sunday and many times during the week too. So let me just tell you a little bit about who we are in case this is your first time joining us. Who we are as the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast specifically. We are a vibrant spiritual community engaged in peace, love, diversity, inclusion, authenticity, and creative self-expression. And we seek a conscious awareness of the divine presence in all life. Our vision is a world that has awakened to its spiritual magnificence, people who know the interrelatedness and the interconnectedness of all life, which results in a world that works for everyone and all creation. And I know who you are too. I see you. Feel like that lady on Romper Room. I know who you are. You're a unique, authentic, one of a kind, divine experience. The very source and substance of all life. There is nothing else you could be. And you're perfect in that. And so I'm so grateful that you're here with us this morning, because together we find a greater experience of life. We create a greater experience of life together. We are an ever-evolving, living embodiment of divine love. That is what we are. That is what we are. So this morning we're going to look at what that means as we move into this new year, as we continue. That New Year's Day is not the only time we are transforming and moving forward into our newness. And the last 2 weeks, I had us check in with our thoughts and our feelings, to take stock of that inner world, because we create from that. We're constantly creating from the inside out, So we want to be clear about what's going on in there to make sure it's in alignment with what we want to see out there. And today we're going to look at maybe how we might need to grow, to shift, to release, to embrace, so that we fit into our dreams, our intentions, our goals for this new year, for 2021. And we do this for ourselves. We do this on a personal level for ourselves, but we also do it for this spiritual community, for your spiritual home. We do that. And we do it for the Centers for Spiritual Living, for this global movement. We do it for the world, right? To make sure that we are poised, that we are a positive presence in the world, so that we're meeting today's challenges and we're open to all the infinite possibilities that lie before us and within us. So again, thank you for joining me this morning. I'm really looking forward to our time together this morning, and let us just begin in prayer. To know that right where I stand, right where each one of you are, everywhere present, is the fullness of that divine source and substance of life, is the fullness of its presence and its power right here, right now. Doesn't have to diminish itself or split itself up or divide itself up to be in its fullness everywhere, because it is all life. It is that animating energy that runs in, as, and through all life. I lean into that now. I lean into that awareness. I abandon and surrender all thought and allow it to simply embrace me in this moment. What I know for myself, I know for each one of us. I know for all beings. that we are unimpeded, that there is nothing stopping the brilliance, the splendor, the joy, the unconditional love from emerging from within. It is always a greater expression by means of us. This I know, and this morning I welcome it fully and freely. May we each be touched by the message, by the readings, by the music. May we be touched in a way that we are expanded, uplifted, inspired. That we release small-mindedness, thoughts of lack and limitation, ideas of duality or being separate. And let the truth of the divine, the oneness, its unity, its brilliance, its love and support be all that we know. And so it is. I love doing that. And I also love our musical guest this morning. She's just brilliant, a bright light in our hometown of Sarasota, in her hometown of Sarasota, and across the globe. This one is a real joy. Please help me welcome Emily Ross.
Good morning, hometown and across the globe. I'm going to start today off with a song called Burning Wanderer, and this is a song that I wrote in college, and it goes along with the theme of looking ahead because I kind of call it like my quarter life crisis when I had to pause and reflect, and I said to myself, okay, I see my life going this way, but I want my life to be going a different way. I want to slow down, and I want to be more present and more in the moment, and so I wrote this song, and it's about that. Living in haze, perpetual days. Life's a mystery that I forgot to create. Time is a flame and I don't know my destination. Moments erased, not living in the right location. Looking ahead before it's too late. My mama always taught me that life is a state, and it goes like a cannonball. Throwing you fast, it feels nothing at all, and it pulls like a waterfall. If you follow a path with no direction, you'll stall. Give me slow, moving people that are enjoying every minute. Let me walk so that I can grow out of my crawl. I'm making my way so I don't fall. That'll love you hard. Raise them to the sky and feel who you are. Ashes burn quickly, idle hands are for the devil. Your words are my gifts that I can always handle. Give me more before it's too late. My mama always taught me that life is a state, and it goes like a cannonball. Throwing you fast, it feels nothing at all, and it pulls like a waterfall. If you follow a path with no direction, stall. Getting slow, moving people that are enjoying every minute. Let me walk so that I can grow out of my crawl. I'm making my way so I don't fall. I don't fall. Am I living on flames or am I living beneath them, Am me fast, it feels nothing at all, and it pulls like a waterfall. If you follow a path with no direction, you'll stall. Game is slow, moving people that are enjoying every minute. Let me walk so that I can grow out of my crawl. I'm making my way so I don't fall.
Beautiful, Emily. Thank you very much. That's wonderful. Love it. So I have 3 short readings this morning. The first one is from the Science of Mind textbook, and it's part of the definition of the word involution. We deal with the creative principle of involution and evolution. Involution is the creation of the concept. Evolution is the time or process it takes for the concept to become manifest. Involution is a conscious act. Evolution is purely mechanical. It's from Ernest Holmes. And from Teilhard de Chardin, and the book is The Future of Man, we have the sense of the earth opening and exploding upwards into God, and the sense of God taking root and finding nourishment downwards into earth. A personal, transcendent God and an evolving universe, no longer forming 2 hostile centers of attraction, but entering into hierarchic conjunction to raise the human mass on a single tide. Such is the sublime transformation which we may with justice foresee, and which in fact is beginning to have its effect upon a growing number of minds, freethinkers as well as believers. The idea of a spiritual evolution of the universe, the very transformation we have been seeking. And finally, from the book called Evolutionaries, and a man named Carter Phipps, the subtitle of that book is Unlocking the Spiritual and Cultural Potential of Science's Greatest Idea. And it starts actually with a quote from our last author, "We are moving." I keep coming back to that fundamental insight and appreciating how profound it really is. The things that we think are fixed, static, and unchanging, and permanent are in fact moving. In so many areas of human knowledge, we are discovering that reality is a part of a vast process of change and development. Like geologists discovering plate tectonics for the first time, we are beginning to look out at this extremely solid, seemingly permanent world that feels so stable underfoot and intuit a radical truth. Nothing is what it seems. We are moving. We are going somewhere. It is a slow but irrevocable revelation dawning on our awareness. Our bedrock assumptions, it tells us, our most basic instincts about life and the universe are in error. Whatever solid ground we are standing on is itself in motion. We are not just being, we are becoming. That's part of the revelatory power of an evolutionary worldview. It's an ontology of becoming. We do not just exist in this universe, we are caught up in its forward movement, intrinsic to its forward intention, and defined by its drift forward in time. Peace and blessings, and now back to Emily.
Thank you. So being caught up in this forward movement, sometimes you need to check in with yourself. So going along with today's theme of looking ahead, and in order to look ahead, you have to check in with yourself and with your body. This is a song I wrote back in June. This is one of my most recent songs that I wrote. And this one was inspired by a friend of mine that was having a hard time getting up out of bed. And she felt like she needed to really just take a moment to pause and just check in with herself and just be with her body. Even though there was all this pressure to go outside and to show up in life, she needed to just have that time to just lay in bed and check in with herself. So that's what this is about. This one's called June. ground it stays, and her pillow is waiting. She is tiny, she keeps fighting all day. Lightly, sun is shining, and the morning has come. But the ground it stays, and her pillow is waiting. But the ground it stays, and her pillow is waiting. Oh, 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 only in her body, it's the only place to be.
Oh my goodness. Emily, thank you so much. That was just absolutely beautiful. Gorgeous. You always set the tone for me, my rhythm. So thank you so much. I love that. And Emil, yes, this is spiritual evolution, absolutely spiritual evolution. And when you were speaking, when you were doing your readings, I changed my talk title real quick. You know, I'm using the talk title for the theme, the Centers for Spiritual Living, which is looking forward, but looking forward isn't as forward moving as I want us to really grasp this morning. So just like that song, just like the readings, just like what I'm feeling is this. It's a movement. It's an action. It's process and progress, right? The ontology of becoming. Love that. So brilliant. Yes. So we are fluid, and so talk title is now moving forward, not looking ahead. Anyway, I want to share this quote with you from Jesus, the Gospel according to Thomas. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. Yes? If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. And I dare say, I'm going to amend Jesus and say it saves all of us. It saves all of us. Yes? So the Gospel according to Thomas, if you're not familiar, that's scripture that was discovered in Nag Hammadi, Egypt in 1945. And scholars speculate that that scripture was buried at the time in response to the church declaring very strict canon around the Christian scripture and what was hearsay or heresy and what was acceptable. But what I'm feeling really strongly right now is the need to bring forth what is within me. The need to bring forth what is within me. And I need an outlet for it. I need an outlet for the love and the compassion and the empathy for all the feeling that is within me, and the excitement of unifying, the excitement surrounding unification in our country right now, a coming together of peace and justice, a coming together in love for our planet, love within me for all beings. And I need an outlet for that, and I want this spiritual community to be that outlet, and I need you for that. I need you for that, for the work that we have before us to do. I love this year's theme, which we're using for the month also, Timeless Wisdom, Evolutionary. I just love that. I love Ralph Waldo Emerson. He's my favorite New Thought teacher, philosopher. I love Emma Curtis Hopkins. I love Thomas Troward. Actually, I do. I came to love his writings as I came to love Ernest Holmes's writing and interpretations. And I love Greek philosophy. I love all of that. And I also love to learn and to stretch and to grow and to expand, as long as it's not my waistline. And isn't that what creativity is all about? Isn't that what it's about? No boundaries, no limits. That's what this teaching is about. That's what was always said about spirit, about the universe, as the divine in form. No limit. No limit to what we can experience, to what we can have. No limit. No limit. Ernest Holmes said that this teaching is open at the top, and he knew it would evolve. He knew it would continue to grow and expand and spiral upward. And so as we contemplate the new year, as you contemplate the new year for yourselves, for you personally, I'm going to ask you to consider how you might grow, how you might need to grow, to consider what is within you that needs to be brought forth. So we've been taking stock the last 2 Sundays. We looked at our feelings and realized that from our feelings, or behind the feelings, are our thoughts and our beliefs. And all of that drives our action out in the world, who we show up in the world as. And so as we look forward, it's important to look within, right? Just like Emily said. So I want to ask us this morning to consider this morning. Where are our growing edges? Where are our growing edges within ourselves? Where are our growing edges within our CSLCC community? Where are our growing edges in this movement? Where are they? And I'd love for you to join me in the Zoom room after the service so we can have a discussion about that. I'd love to hear your input. From our global vision, the Centers for Spiritual Living global vision, we have an evolutionary vision. And in part, it says, we see a world in which every person lives in alignment with his or her highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other. A world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. And action. It's a tall order, but I believe it's my purpose, my life's purpose. And I believe it's really all of our life's purpose. But before you feel overwhelmed with that idea, consider that it is accomplished in profound, yet very simple ways. And that's what we're going to talk about. Every Sunday I talk about this. And the idea of action, of the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast being a vehicle out into the community, into the greater community, and now we're global. I mean, heck, I didn't see that coming. My ministry has evolved, in an instant with this pandemic. We have people from Austria, good evening, and from Oklahoma, from Virginia, from possibly Tennessee. And Virginia, I said Virginia, right? We have people from all over the country, all over the world with us this morning. So in part, our Centers for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast values speak to being active, being actively and intentionally engaged in the unfoldment of this greater vision, a greater vision of peace, a greater vision of love, a greater embodiment of what it means, what oneness means, what unity with all life actually means, what it looks like, what it feels like, how we move in that, right? And so I'm asking you this morning to imagine what might need some attention, personally or collectively, for this context of where we've been and where we're going. So we're continuing where we left off with what we're feeling and what we're thinking, with the idea of self-awareness first. We just have to be in that place of self-awareness, like Emily sang about. And so we want to be in a place of self-awareness with how are we aligning with our core values. So your own personal core values, our center's core values, the values of the global CSL. How are we aligning with those? Are we conscious of our motivations, of our internal dialogue, of our hidden beliefs? Are we conscious of how we show up with other people? See, in order to evolve, which is what we do when we set an intention for a new year, right? In order to evolve, we need to have a willingness to observe and be responsible for our choices. So self-awareness is really the foundation upon what we work on when we're looking to have conscious choice in the world. So we can move forward boldly, confidently, knowing we are aligned, right? Ernest Holmes said in the Science of Mind textbook, the spiral of life is upward. The spiral of life is upward. Evolution carries us forward. There's been a clear evolution in our movement. A clear evolution in our movement. We've always been aware of our connection with spirit, and that the spirit doesn't have any boundaries, like I said. So we're reaching a greater understanding of that all the time, a greater understanding of who we are and what is ours to do. And so when this teaching was first birthed, it was birthed all around mind and thought. That we're conscious beings and that our thought creates things, and that we are in fact mimicking the divine creator and the creative process in doing so. And so it was all about the mind. And we see that when we read our Declaration of Principles, which is what we believe, which is in the front of the Science of Mind magazine every month. But Ernest Holmes said that if he had a do-over, he would start with the heart. See, he was evolving. He was evolving in his consciousness. This teaching was evolving as he was teaching it, right? And so we did evolve into a heart-spaced teaching, and with an emphasis beyond just individual empowerment, with a widening circle to include a collective healing, right? And a social responsibility. That's our global vision. So now we're in the place of establishing, what does that look like? What does that look like in practice? What does that look like for the Centers of Spiritual Living to be in action with our beliefs? Yeah? I love it. It's very exciting to me. It's very exciting to me. If you are a subscriber of the Science Mind magazine, you see the progressive, forward-thinking, inspiring articles that are in our magazine. So the Centers for Spiritual Living and the Centers for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast has a high commitment to seeking our answers from within, though. And that's ever changing, that's fluid, right? And so visioning, which is a somewhat newer practice designed by Michael Beckwith, is about listening and feeling that guidance that comes to us, that intuition. And Ernest Holmes said in our Declaration of Principles that anyone who lives in close contact with the One may be a revealer of the truth. See, he knew this. He knew it. And now we have a technology, a spiritual technology. We have a practice where we're actually doing that. And we have words like somatic wisdom, right? Relating to the body. Emily sang about it, that in your body is the only place to be. In your body is the truth of who you are, where to listen in. That's what somatic wisdom is all about. And we have studies that back this up. We have studies on electromagnetic fields. Thank you, HeartMath, for all their research studies that prove that the heart generates the largest electrical field in the body. And it can be detected and measured. And it can be measured from several feet away. That's how large our electromagnetic field is. And when we're communicating with other people, they can see it between people and around people. In The Art of Somatic Coaching, the author writes, when we connect with the core energy of the body, we connect a vast reservoir of wisdom, compassion, and intelligence that we have neglected over 3 billion years of embodied knowledge of survival, adapting, social intelligence, coordinating, intuition, and reciprocity, which lies largely unused within us. So he says, if we learn to listen to this life energy and to act from it, there's much it can teach us about living spiritual values while our feet are firmly on the ground. This somatic intelligence affirms the truth of our independence, interconnectedness, and a power that lies beyond the self. Thank you, Richard Straussy Heckler. See, we are rooted in unity with God, and we want to feel and come from that place of embodying that, to embody that connectivity that we have with the divine source of all and with one another. There's no limit. Again, there's no limit to what that can look like for us. These are evolutionary advances in spirituality. Yes, in spiritual practice. And one way we can aid that, or another way that we can aid that, is to come into an understanding of what spiritual bypass is. Now, I've talked about this before. The definition of spiritual bypass is a tendency to use spiritual ideas and practices to sidestep or avoid facing unresolved emotional issues, psychological wounds, and unfinished developmental tasks. This is a term that was introduced in the early 1980s by John Wellwood, who is a Buddhist psychotherapist. And our New Thought teaching has been guilty of spiritual bypassing. Bypassing emotions with statements like, you are 100% responsible for your experience. Everything happens for a reason. All is well. All is good. Well, catchphrases like that can deny the complex nature of our lives and the universe. And they can feel and be harmful to our well-being. It's harmful to deny a healthy processing of emotions. Otherwise, we are stuffing our emotions. And hell, we cannot deny the complexity of the past 12 months. Really, it just all came to a head in the past 12 months, right? And we can't bury 2020 under the rug and pretend that it didn't happen. It did happen. Our ugliness was exposed, right? It was exposed in the light of truth. We have strayed so far from understanding our connectivity to source, to nature, to one another. We have strayed so far from that sense of oneness, of fairness, of equity. We've strayed from empathy and compassion to another person's plight. Ernest Holmes wrote in Living the Science of Mind, this is page 252. In the science of mind, we do not say everything is right when everything is all wrong. This wasn't one of the first statements he made. It was a later statement. After contemplation, after practice, it was an evolved. Jeff Brown offers us an understanding in his book, Grounded Spirituality. He says that the everything that happens for a reason mantra emerged as a necessary counterbalance to the idea that we're victims in all solutions. And sometimes we do play a role in what has been manifest in our lives. And often it's from unconscious patterns and beliefs that we're not even aware of that's doing the choosing through us, right? Without our conscious awareness. But we can go too far in one direction. He said there's some degree of misguided action on this planet. And I would agree with him. This is evolution, learning to grow, and it's not always pretty. It's not always pretty. And I'll tell you that I've developed a greater understanding of this in my work as a practitioner. I've understood a greater need for compassion with my own self and with other people that I do spiritual counseling with. It is far better to come from a place of compassion and empathy, because who am I to say that something in your life, a situation, is for the best? To tell you that there's a nugget of gold in there, that is for you to determine, right? And for us to walk with our brothers and sisters through our experiences is a much gentler way. Yes, we can learn from our experiences. I'm not backing down from that. And yes, we may have attracted the exact challenge that we needed in order to grow. Yeah, I still believe all of that. But there are times where life remains a mystery. And there's some circumstances that just suck. And you need a shoulder. You need someone to understand that. Jeff Brown says, compassion demands that we hold the space for each other's challenges with a wide open heart. I want to be that for you. I want us to be that for each other. I want us to demonstrate that in the world. This is what it looks like. Because that is an evolutionary change in the way science of mind is taught, and it's a good one. And I'm all for it. Now, thirdly, there's healing work that we need to do, individually and collective, because individually and collective, we have trauma. We have trauma. We are experiencing an amazing time in our history. All that has transpired, the pandemic, systemic racism that has finally come to a head, and a resulting political unrest. And there's a growing need for us to address these concerns of our day through embodied practices, through the mind and the heart and the body. We want to bring our whole selves to the game, right? Our whole selves. Have you ever heard Temple Hayes? I love this when she says, maybe the hokey pokey, it is about throwing your whole self in, you know? I'm going to throw my whole self in. I think that is what it is about. Mind, body, spirit. It is the whole thing. Our whole selves into the game. We must address the collective unconscious that perpetuates the idea of separation. And I've been talking about this for weeks now. Oh, years. But we start by doing our part, each one of us doing our part to heal within ourselves feelings of being separate from each other, source, different than. Yeah, we're unique expressions, but we are the divine incarnate. That levels the playing field completely. And so all this holds true for ourselves, for our community, for the world, for our country, for the world, right? Right? It's our collective fate. And so we want to be in a place of expanding our awareness, understanding God's omnipresence, because then like white privilege and systemic racism come into the light, and we all are subject to the trauma of it. We all are. It's been passed down through the generations, no matter what your color is. Resmaa Menakem wrote the book, My Grandmother's Hands, Racialized Trauma and the Pathway to Mending Our Hearts and Bodies. And in it he writes, we don't need to understand white supremacy because white supremacy isn't rational. It is not rational. We won't end it with intellect alone. It is internalized deep within our bodies. Do you feel that? I have felt that my whole life. I have felt that. And we, religious scientists, we in the Centers for Spiritual Living, we, the adherents of the science, are uniquely poised for this conversation, for this engagement, because of our radical understanding of oneness. And it calls us into the conversation. We have timeless wisdom to apply to our evolutionary vision of a world that works for everyone. And we do so by harnessing not only the power of our collective mind, but our collective heart, our collective body. When we do that, we all succeed. We reach our goals, our intentions, our resolutions. So, may we evolve in our spiritual practice to a collective embodied spirituality. May we acknowledge the wisdom of the body, our own emotions, and not be afraid of them, but to be keenly aware of our gentler natures as we walk together in compassion, as we heal our collective wound. The truth is, we are immersed in a loving and supportive universe. So Ernest Holmes, in his book, Can We Talk to God?, describes an embodied spirituality this way. Please take this in. He writes, Consider the Spirit as a warm, pulsating, reciprocal thing. It presses against us. It flows through us. It is our intelligence. It is a great universal urge and surge. It is a warm, colorful thing. It is a beautiful thing. Know that there is something more than law, an intelligence to which we may come for inspiration, for guidance, for direction, a power responding to us, a presence pressing against us, an animation flowing through us, a light within us. May your light shine brightly this year. And so it is. Now we're going to go back to another song with Emily.
Thank you. So as we evolve, we can think of we're like building a house that works for everyone. So that's how I'm relating the song I wrote. It's called Once We've Built This House. And it's kind of, well, why I wrote it was because I was leaving behind an old version of myself and I was building up a new one. But I'm relating it to today's theme. Like, we're all evolving, we're all connecting to ourselves. We're building a house that works for everyone. So here's Once We've Built This House. Here it is, as I knew it would be. Here you are, as I saw you in a dream. These walls that are shaking gave me my whole life. Beyond me, out of sight. Once we've built this house, we will never look back. And once we've climbed our reach, we will look to the sky and give our whole lives to what once was nothing. Give our whole lives to what once was nothing. Castles are made just to only fall at our feet. These rooms, they are changing, and I'm not as complete. You were the one who crawled to me on your knees. She was the one who I always thought I'd see. Once we've built this house, we will never look back. Once we've climbed our reach, we will look to the sky and give our whole lives to what once was nothing. We'll give our whole lives to what once was nothing. Oh, oh, give me hope, give me hope. And oh, 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 give me hope, give me hope. And oh, 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 oh. the sky and give our whole lives to what once was nothing. Give our whole lives to what once was nothing. Thank you for having me today. Happy Sunday.
Thank you very much, Emily. Wow. We're building a house. That's much the way I think about the ministry, that this isn't Reverend Theresa's ministry. This is our ministry. We participate in our listening, our carrying these practices forward as we move into our lives. And so this is our opportunity to add another brick to supporting and building this ministry. So there's time for our offertory and time to give generously from the heart. Talked about the heart and its magnetic energy earlier. So we are in a place where we share that energy, and money is simply an energy of exchange, and a way of taking energy of support and turning it into something that is tangible in the form that it can be spent, although the actual coinage and bills that we get are meaningless by themselves. It is the meaning that we give them, and we give them meaning of value and value in the world. So we continue to build this ministry, continue to make it available online like it is now. And when we go back to meeting in person, we'll still be online. So there'll be even more ministry to build, more audiences to fill, more hearts to bring into alignment as we move together, and going back to that quote from Gospel of Thomas, to bring forward that which was within us, so that which is within us can heal us. So I am very grateful for the presence, very grateful for each of you. I'm grateful for each giver and each gift that is given to support this ministry, knowing that as these gifts are received, they are building a powerful, powerful ministry based on the heart, based on the expansion of love in the universe. Peace and blessings. Now, back to Bobby for our offertory song.
I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on. I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy, pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on.
Thank you. God, more tears, more. I've been verklempt this morning. Wow. Thank you, Reverend Emile Gavreau, aka Rev G. I just want to mention that we're almost, nearing the end of the month, and Rev G has a article in the Science Mind magazine, so make sure you see that. And just to add on a footnote, I'm getting the magazines still that we used to sell on Sunday mornings, so I have them. You can get them at Barnes & Noble, but if you would like one of these, email me, and I'll either mail it to you or I'll drop it off one day when I'm running errands or something. We've got the February ones coming in, or already here. And Emily, thank you. My God, it's so amazing to me how the songs, they just fit so well. That your closing song was just so perfect. We won't look back. We do our work, and we won't be looking back at the troubles as we build this house together. That's so beautiful, so beautiful. Again, I want to remind you that I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts around where we could tithe. We're a tithing community, and we give 10% of what we bring in back out into the community. Who's doing this good work in our community, in the world? Where do we want to align? That kind of thing. And I've talked about this for a long time. Actually, before we even started the community, I've had an idea. I've wanted to be teaching how we have these difficult conversations. And I've talked about this program that my girlfriend, Reverend Cindy Grimes, is developing. And we will have that in short order. We will have that to present to you. It's a program, it's a long program, and you can pop in and out on modules that you're interested in, but I encourage everybody to just do the whole thing. It's on peace building, it's social emotional learning, it's nonviolent communication, it's restorative practices, restorative justice. It's a recovery for our broken hearts. That is really what it is, and a way for us to move forward, empowered. And along those lines, Reverend Jackie Riker is offering her subtle activism. It starts soon. That's the first week in February. And we really need you, if you're interested in taking that. It's 4 weeks, and then she's going to have a support group after that, or an ongoing group after that. You need to register before Thursday, because at the moment we don't have enough to hold the class, which is what happened with 2 other classes that we had scheduled for this month. So I'm really reaching out to you to not push you to sign up for something that you're not interested in, but to tell us, to communicate with us what you are interested in. And maybe it's the days, the times, maybe it's the finances, and we have scholarship money available, and if you're a member you get 20% off. But I need to know so we can serve your needs. And also along those lines is Julie Birch does the meditation every Thursday evening at 6:30. You need to be on our email list in order to get that link, because I send it out every Thursday morning. And you can go to our website, which is CSLCulturalCoast.org, scroll down and sign up to receive our email. But anyway, we're looking for ways to connect, communicate. And with that, join me. I'm going to go now post the Zoom link, and it's also in that email from Thursday that I send every week. But come on and let's have a conversation about what your growing edge is that you might have for our community as well. And then I'm going to have Bobby come back in and close us with a song. I love you. Thanks for being with us this morning. I love you.
I love you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Thank you for moving us forward. If you need prayer support for anything that's going on with you, email prayer@cslculturalcoast.org. I'm going to end again with the Daniel Neymard song, What kind of world do we want to create? What kind of world do we want to leave? What kind of world do I want to see? What kind of world do I want to leave to my children's children? Now is the time to make up my mind. What kind of world is this gonna be? What kind of world will be my legacy to the generations for all humankind? It's time to decide what kind of world. Will it be peaceful? Well, am I? Will it be joyful and kind? Will it be all those things a child so easily describes? Oh yeah. Will everybody have enough? Will we speak in the language of love? Somehow I'm suspecting it's all up to what you and I decide. What kind of world do we want to have? Will we be ready to start giving back to this precious place, to every young face? Tell every boy and girl what kind of world. Will it be peaceful? Well, am I? Will it be joyful and kind? Will it be all those things a child so easily describes? Oh yeah. Will everybody have enough? Will we speak in the language of love? Somehow I'm suspecting it's all up to what you and I decide. What kind of world do we want to have? When will we be ready to start being that for this precious place, for every young face?